Hey guys, Aniso here with part 2 of the Beastmaster and Lycan series. In this video we want to check out some replays of really good players playing Beastmaster and Lycan in the offlane. Let's not waste time and jump right into the video. So the first replay we check out is played from Snake King. At the time of this replay he is rank 48, so he probably knows his stuff. He's gold tier Beastmaster as well, so he plays the hero a lot. The first thing he did was just use the Hawk to scout somewhere around the enemy mid lane, just to get a glimpse of maybe an enemy placing a ward. So usually you want to send your Hawk like right over here in this area or over here in this area, and this might get a D-ward for your mid laner. That's a pretty good trick. The second thing is his boar. There are like two ways of using the boar. You can either right away use the boar, as he did in this game, just to send your boar like over here and scout the areas, just to get more vision. The second way of using the boar is you want to sit in the fountain and you wait for like 55 seconds. And then you use your first boar. This way, the boar has 60 seconds duration. This way, if you run with your boar to the first rune, you can get a double boar onto the first rune. Because the cooldown is only 42 seconds. And as I said, the duration is 60 seconds. So if you use your boar like at 55, maybe 50 seconds before the creep spawn, you get double boar for the rune. This might give you a kill. He's blocking the creeps with himself and with the help of his boar. And one trick that's pretty cool is you should just auto hit the first creep like once or twice, as he's doing right here, and then you're trying to last it. And the first wave you just want to hit the creeps a lot. Like as you can see here, he's even auto attacking the creeps with the boar just to push in the lane into the enemies. This will secure him an earlier level 2 than the enemies, and this way he doesn't get pushed into his tower with a triple wave. So I watched some of his replays and he's doing this a lot, and I would recommend you doing this as well. As you can see here, since he pushed the first wave, he gets like double waved, and then his support is allowed to just pull the wave over here. Like if you're playing with a mate, you should probably tell them to pull as well in most games after you've created this double wave. Okay, so right now he's level 2, nearly level 3, and as you can see here, his boar is nearly off cooldown, but he won't use it right away because he's nearly level 3. Like, he actually waits on purpose until he reaches level 3 to use the boar. Like, the boar becomes way stronger if you hit level 2. As you can see here right now, the boar attack damage level 1 is only 16, and it doubles to 32, and the slow doubles as well. So level 3 is a big power spike of Beastmaster. As you can see here, he hit level 3 and immediately used the boar. The thing you really want to focus on in the laning stage as Beastmaster is not to kill enemies. You can harass them with the boar and stuff, but you should focus on getting the last hits. Like, getting last hits is the most important thing for Beastmaster. Like, your goal is not to kill people. Actually, you don't care about killing people at all. You just care about getting the CS because you want your Necronomicon as fast as possible. Like, as you can see here, he doesn't even hit the enemies, he's just focusing on CSing. Another really important thing is how to use your Hawks. Usually you want to send your Hawks over to this area, like either over here, so you get vision of this camp, or like over here if the enemies are playing way more defensive. Like, you just want to get vision of the jungle right next to you. As you can see here, the Hawk is getting a lot of vision, and he just sees every incoming gank and then he can respond way faster. Okay, so now let's check out how we play around the ultimate. Like, Beastmaster's ultimate is really strong, and once he gets his ultimate, most of the time you just get a free kill. If the enemy core doesn't leave the lane and you have your ultimate up, you can just run at him, roar him, and hit him with like the boar and your hero, and the help of your support, and you just get a free kill every time. Okay, let's check out what he's doing right now after he got the Necronomicon. He got the Necro at like 8 minutes into the game. The enemy mid laner was just trying to gank Clockwork here. He's just roaring the storm, and he just gets a free kill. As you can see here, he's always using the hawks to scout into areas that enemies could come from. Like right now from here, because he might expect a gank or heroes coming from over here or here just to help the Keeper of the Light. And before he was using the hawks like over here every time he tried to push the tower, or like over here just to scout enemies. With the help of the Necronomicon and like 3 or 4 points in your aura, you can put on huge pressure onto the tower. As you can see, the enemies have to use a glyph, and once Storm respawns, he will TP into defend the tower. Now we are at a really important timing for Beastmaster. Like as you can see here, he already got Necronomicon 2 at 10 minutes. And at 10 minutes, the siege waves are spawning. As you can see, enemies have a siege wave over here. He has siege wave over here. And this is the time where you can take this tower in like 9 out of 10 games for sure. Like you have 2 levels in Necronomicon, you have a siege wave that gets like double the attack speed just because of your aura. As you can see here, even the siege creep gets like 40 attack speed increased, and he has like 79. So this basically just doubles the attack speed of the siege creep. So this will improve your tower sieging by like so much. One important thing is he used the Hawk here just to scout for incoming TPs. And then he's just A-clicking down the lane with the Necronomicons. Whoops. As you can see here, it's just A-clicking, and then once he reached the tier 2 tower, like he knows he can't get a tier 2 tower at 10 minutes, so he's just trying to clear the creeps and then farm some neutral camps. Like at this time, what you want to do, after you took this tier 1 tower, you're always looking to push the creeps into this tower, and then you want to farm like this camps over here, this camps, those camps, and you just want to farm the camps and the lane all the time. Like you just rotate between the lane and this camps, and you basically just stop the enemies from entering their jungle at all, and you just farm their whole jungle. Like for Beastmaster, this is really easy because you have your Hawk, and it gives you vision. As you can see here, he's using the Hawk again behind the tower. Just to scout for incoming TPs. Okay, so let's see how Beastmaster approaches fights. The thing is, usually you're trying to roar the first person that you can see. But one important thing that most people do wrong on Beastmaster is they just run in with the hero himself. But you usually only want to send your minions onto the enemies, and then you want to position yourself right next to your minions so that they all gain your inner beast attack speed aura, but that you're not in the middle of the fight. Another important trick is you can use the wild axes and your orcs to scout over on high grounds, and you just get free rewards because the Necronomicons themselves give vision. Here again, you can see he's using the Necros, but his hero isn't running onto the enemies. Like he's just playing with his hero like over here to give the attack speed aura to all his allies, but he's not hitting heroes with his actual hero. Like he's just hitting the enemies with his units. Like this is really important. You want to stay in the fight as long as you can, and you don't want to be the first one dying on Beastmaster, because your aura is just such huge value in team fights for your whole team. Not only for your minions, but for your whole team. Another thing on Beastmaster that is really strong is his roche taking potential. Like you give so much attack speed to your whole team that taking roche is so freaking quick on this hero. Especially if you have like drums or medallion, or even Solar Crest. As you can see here right now, in the courier his Solar Crest is coming, and he's just timing the Roshan with the Solar Crest. So once he has the Solar Crest completed, he just immediately heads to Roche, and they just take Roche. He's using the Hawk once it's off cooldown just to scout onto the enemies, onto the areas where enemies could come from, so either over here or over here, but here they have a ward and AA, so he's using the Hawk over here. Okay, once they took Roche, they immediately try to look all the outer towers that are left. Like the top towers were already pushed, so they are immediately heading to mid. taking the tier 2 tower, and then as you can see right now on the minimap, they are just moving as a team bot just to get the last tier 1, and then they just cut the wave over here. And probably take this tier 2 tower as well a little bit later down the road. Now let's take a look about how Snake King plays Lycan on offlane. You will see a lot of similarities. The first thing he did was just to summon his wolves again, right when the game started. As you can see here, he's just running like over here with his wolves, scouting this area. I will speed up the replay a little bit. Yeah, he's splitting the wolves. He's sending one wolf over here and one over here just to get vision of the enemies and what they are doing. Some other good spots are like over here, and you can actually send the wolves into like behind the trees into tower vision and check if there's a ward. It's like the same if you're playing Dyra, it's the same. You can send your wolf like in this tree area, and if the tower gets vision, you know they have a ward like somewhere over here, and then your mid can get a 3D ward. Now let's take a look at the first wave. As you can see here, he's just immediately attacking the range creep, and he just ignores PA, he just kills the range creep. This is like the same we talked about with Beastmaster before. You don't have to kill the range creep, but if you're allowed to, then this is probably a pretty good play. But what you want to achieve is just push the creeps into the enemies. Like you don't want to want the first creep wave to push into you, but you want to be the one that's pushing the first creep wave into the enemies. And your summons are really helpful for this. As you can see, we just created a double wave, and he's going for the range creep again. This will allow his Rubik to potentially get off a pull. Another important thing is that you can pull yourself a lot with Lycan, because as we talked before, you just care about CSing, and if you get off a pull, the creeps will be a lot closer to your tower, and then enemies will probably deal with the pull while you can just CS the creeps for free. So if your supports that don't pull themselves, you should probably look to pull sometimes. Like you can even use your wolves to just pull the camps if you want to. Once you hit level 5, your wolves become invis. Like when the wolves are invisible, it's way easier to just send them onto supports, because they can't do anything to the wolves. Like if they try to hit back the wolves, you just micro out the one that's getting attacked, and then it's just wasted time of the support, and the support loses like half HP. Yeah, as you can see here, there was a gank by his teammates, and he just took the tower in 100-0 because the wolves are very strong. Like usually you don't get the tower this early, like before level 6, but in some games you do. But after he took the tower, it's like the same for Beastmaster. As you can see here, it's just rotating between the jungle camps, using the Necro and the wolves just to farm the camps all the time. Like he's not trying to just A-click into the base and trying to fight people. Like he's actually just looking to farm. This is so important. Like the Necro 1 is the item that allows you to accelerate your game. This is not the I wanna kill everyone item. This is like, this item helps you to farm a lot. I guess you can see here right now, we can check the last hits. He's the second highest and last hits in his team, and he had a pretty rough laning. It's like PA and A, it was really hard. Like he's still looking to push out the lanes, but he's prioritizing getting farm before he's trying to push towers. Like Lycan is a good pusher, don't get me wrong. Like this hero is an insane pusher, but you don't just want to push towers non-stop. Like you actually want to farm a lot on those heroes too. How do we actually take fights with Lycan? It's pretty similar to Beastmaster. You want to use your ultimate before, you summon your wolves and your necro, and then you're just sending your units onto enemies. And you use the hole when you're in the middle of the fight just to hit a lot of enemies with your armor reduction and stuff. You don't want to hit heroes, like enemies with your hero, but rather just try to stay outside of the fight. As you can see here, he focused the low HP heroes. Like, he doesn't run onto the PA at first, but rather just runs at Enigma and like AA, the ones that the heroes that are squishy and that have no way of escaping him. Like, if he would run at PA first, he would probably just not kill her and then just get kited a lot and then maybe die. So the targets you're looking for when you're playing Lycan are the backlining supports. Like the AAs, the Crystal Maidens, the Witch Doctors, I don't know, Disruptor. Just squishy support that you can just snipe out of the fight in like half a second. Like, you don't want to go for their cores at first, but rather go for the backline. Here's another pretty good example. He's trying to use the wolves as scouts, and once he sees like the AA, he's just sending his units onto AA. He's getting close, he's using the Necro. And as you can see here, he used the Purge. By the way, if I didn't talk about this before, the blue Necronomicon Archer has a spell that's called Purge. This purges all the debuffs from enemies. This means if they use like Ghost Scepter or like Wind Run on Wind Ranger, for example, you can just purge off those buffs and then you can kill them pretty easy. So Ghost Scepter actually does nothing against Lycan because you can just purge it with the Necro. But just take a close look at his positioning. Well, like, he's just outside of the fight, focusing the enemy Enigma with his units. Like, he's just barely outside the fight. And he's not attacking people with his hero, because he might die if he did that. But he's like just kiting with the units. And this is like really important when you're playing Lycan. It's the same for Beastmaster. You want to stay like outside of the fight. Like potentially be in range to kill people with your hero if you're allowed to, but you don't want to just run into like 4 or 5 enemies because you would just get sniped down. Like, this is really important. The last thing I want to show you is how good of a split pusher Lycan is. Like, if you are checking the scoreboard, it's like 11 to 34. And they have like 15k net worth advantage onto the enemy team. So they're really far behind in Lycan's team. So once he sees the enemies grouping up, like he knows they're all here, if you check out the minimap, like they're all on top and mid, he's just using his minions to split push. Like, there's a fight going on mid and he just ignores the fight and he's just shredding the towers. Like, he even uses the drums of endurance just to push the towers. I should probably turn off his player perspective. Like, he's watching the fights and he's checking if he has to TP back. But as long as the enemies are showing here, he's just split pushing. This just stopped like the whole high ground siege. If he would be here, like most players on Lycan would just play here and not split push. And then the enemies with the Aegis would probably just run high ground and get the Rex. But he's a really good player. Like, he knows that if he puts a lot of pressure onto side lanes when enemies are grouping up, then he just gets towers for free and probably forces a TP back. To wrap up the video, I want to give you guys a quick list on steps that you can follow in the game. Keep in mind, this is not what you do every game. This is like more of a guideline rather than a step-by-step, you have to do this 100% every game list. Okay, the first thing you want to do is focusing on CS to get the Necronomicon as soon as possible. Like, don't focus on getting kills, just focus on getting the CS, like the creeps. After we got the Necro, we want to take the enemy tier 1 safe lane tower. If you can with a Siege Rave, this will make your life a lot more easy. But maybe if you're getting like 1 or 2 pretty good kills, then you can just naturally take the tower out of those kills too. Next step is to push in the top lane and to farm in the enemy jungle. While you're looking for opportunities to get the mid tier 1 tower. This means you're just farming, and once you see the enemies, like, I don't know, ganking your safe laner for example, you just immediately stop what you're doing, you head into mid and you just take the tower for free. After you took the tower, then you're just pushing out the safe lane and the mid lane while farming the jungle camps between both of those lanes and just taking like a lot of space from the enemy team. And then once the enemies are either like on the other side of the map, or you just got like 1 or 2 pickoffs, then you're trying to look to kill either the safe lane tier 2 tower or like Roshan. Like those are the most important objectives most of the time. Like once you get Roche, you're trying to take all the remaining towers. This means like all tier 1s and all tier 2 towers that are still remaining. Once you pick up all the tower, you're trying to get down like some wards around the enemy base, and every time someone leaves their base and he's like out of position, then you're trying to look for a kill. And once you got a kill, like 1 or 2 important kills on, like for example their carry or their mid laner, and then you want to go high ground with like Aegis. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a nice day.